Rise and shine, it's a brand new day. Can take the stage, ready to play. Weekdays at 10, the cars and the scene. Coffee in hand, they're living the dream. Aggression in their voice, got the whole town awake. Bringing fire to the mic, make no mistake. Shows in the corner, spitting out facts. Dropping truth bombs, ain't holding back. Can in the morning, feel the heat. From 10 a.m. CST, can take a seat. We live and loud, they're breaking the mold. Light up your speakers, crank up the sound. They're talking about life upside down. Opinions exploding like a sonic blast. In the studio, they're built to last. With passion and grit, they engage and ignite. Every single week, they're a force can't fight. From sports to politics,
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Good morning. And welcome to another edition of Ken and Ken in the Morning. Of course, we got the bearded Packer fan playing with his beard because, well, you know, that's what guys like him do. Is they play with their beard as he tries to look like ZZ Top. And we got the guy who had a preseason game last night. Joe is on here this morning. Good morning, Joe.
Yeah, dude, it was a good game.
So, yeah, it was funny.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, what I saw of it wasn't bad. I didn't end up watching the second half of it because I passed the fuck out. But
see, then you missed the best part of the game because in the first half the Raiders were getting their butts kicked, and then in the second half they put the pedal to the metal and came back, and they had it. If it wasn't for a missed field goal, they would have won. Like they ended up with a tie, 23-23.
Yeah,
but the Raiders were in position to kick the field goal at the end. They were in position to kick the field goal.
I was watching the game, and then NFL Network feed that I had, for whatever reason, it just stopped working for the game. And they went back to it. Then they started showing the replay, of the Ravens game. I was like, what the hell's going on? And it was just whatever feed I was getting, that's what it – I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I ended up like, all right, fine, if I can't watch it, at least I'll watch Hard Knocks. So I ended up having – when I wasn't getting the game anymore, the game feed didn't come through right, I just switched to Hard Knocks and watched episode 1 of Hard Knocks last night.
Oh, you finally watched it?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was well, I should have realized it was this Tuesday, but this last Tuesday I watched it. I did watch part of the Colts game. That one had the bigger news of the night, right? Because go figure, Richardson's injured again.
And he took himself out of another game. Granted, I'll give him a bit more with this one because apparently his finger was mangled, like off to the side type of shit.
Dislocated finger. It's a dislocated finger. X-rays came back clean, so they don't expect him to miss much time at all. But that put Danny Dimes in pretty quickly, and pretty quickly people were like, oh yeah, this is why Danny Dimes gets cut.
Yeah. You know what? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that Raider game a little bit because it was an entertaining game. Like, Seattle, they didn't even play their starters, and I was kind of like, our first string. They only played one series, but
your offensive line doesn't look that great.
Genty had 3 carries for 0. You might even had negative yards.
I think,
was like, that's not a good start, Genty.
Not a surprise. Not a surprise.
Oh, God, here we go. Gino, I thought looked okay. And Dante Thornton, I think that guy's going to be good, man.
Well, hold on a second. You said the starters were 1 series, and it was 3 Genty runs. Hey, Broski, you ready? I'm going to simulate to Broski what Gino did as quarterback. You ready, Broski?
Let's do it.
Handoff. Oh, wait.
Well,
you ready for another one, Broski? Here we go. Hold on. Handoff. One more, Broski, or are we good? One more? Okay, here we go.
Keep going.
Handoff. Did I look good or what?
Okay,
actually,
so he did his JJ McCarthy impersonation.
Okay. He was one of 3 for 15 in his short time, but then they played Aiden O'Connell for like 2.5 quarters, and I think they're trying to give Aiden O'Connell a look to see if they really want to keep him as the backup. And he didn't didn't have a great game last night. Like, he threw 2 picks, and then our third string quarterback Cam Miller came in the fourth quarter, and he's really the one who led the comeback. Like, he threw a deep bomb touchdown, and then drove him down the field to get him into field goal range.
Saying, Joe, is your 3rd/4/5th string guys were better than their 3rd/4/5th string guys.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything about like the Raiders season, other than I think that there's a possibility that you can have a battle in camp for that second string quarterback spot. I think Cam Miller might actually be pushing Aiden O'Connell for that spot.
So maybe the next game, Cam gets the first look after Geno, and we see how he does against the 2s, because he obviously did good against the 3, 4, 5, 6s. Maybe we see how.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the off season, man. It's like, because guys get way too. And I know you weren't going there, Joe, but you know how it is. People go, "Good morning, Haas. Thank you." On the go Sports Network. Yeah, he does some good shows there too if you like LSU. But like when a guy does great, like yesterday, and he was great in the 3rd and 4th quarter against the 3, 4, 5s, and 6s. Then okay, cool. Let's see. That's good. Be happy, right? Obviously, the guy did well. But then, let's see how he does against the 2s next, right? And then sometimes they go up against the 2s, and it's like, yeah, now I know why he was just playing against the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, and the 6s. I mean, that's what I love about this part of the season. Is like, you know that, man, we got the guy. And all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, maybe we didn't get the guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tough part.
Well, I was on the Raiders subreddit after to checking the post-game thread because I wanted to see what other Raider fans were talking about with Cam Miller. And there was some of that. There was some guys who were like, oh, man, Aiden O'Connell, he might be out the door. I'm like, well, it was 1 quarter of one game. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. But, I liked what I saw from the kid. Like, he did look a little bit jumpy, like it's his first NFL game. I think he was a little bit nervous, but when it mattered, he drove him down the field, got him into field goal range, had him ready to win the games. So we'll see, like you said, if he does good against the 2s, then maybe.
Like even with Genty, I would take like his lack of production with a grain of salt, because that he probably had those first game jitters too. I think
he only had 3 carries.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, oh my God, Genty's a bust. I'm not going to adorn it, but I mean, I know Broski's ready to adorn it.
Yeah, I think that was more indicative of the Raiders' line than Genty, because they were all over Genty almost as soon as the snap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the line. I mean, this time of year, you got to figure these offensive lines, especially the reconstructed ones, are new in line. Nope, there we go.
Yes.
With these new lines, it's going to take definitely takes a while. With especially if you've got I'm sure, and this is true with the Raiders, it's true with the Bears, it's true with the Lions, it's true with a lot of teams. Even the Packers, I think, have a new offensive lineman. It's getting the new linemen gelled in with the existing ones, or you have a whole new line. Like the Bears, the whole center of that line is new. The only thing that might be the same is the tackles. I say might because at left tackle there's a battle. So look at the Lions are probably going to look pretty crappy in the preseason initially. I hope the starters though, I hope the starters play from the line a little bit more than their counterparts on the offense, so they get those reps. But like today, the Bears have joint practice with the Dolphins. That starting 5, right, better be getting a lot of reps today against Miami's starting 5 on defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern.
So, is that during your show? Or your normal show time? Or
No,
Red Zone?
today,
Open mic, I mean.
During open mic.
So is there going to be an open mic? It's all a bunch of Packer guys that host it.
Well, I'm not going to be hosting open mic. So if Doran wants to host it, because I think Rob's going on vacation, we might have a Doran open mic, but I'm not hosting open mic with the Packers game on.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But
I might have to jump on that.
Oh, I see. Just because I'm not there, you're going to be on.
No, I'm going to be on so that if Jordan Love throws an interception, I'm going to be like, Jordan Love's a huge bust. Like, look at
just for Dorn, yeah, just for Dorn.
Huge bust.
I mean, you want to talk about bust?
$55 million a year bust.
Are we ready to call Richardson a bust yet in Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Much like Hendon Hooker, I knew he was a bust before he got drafted. Literally, I'm not even joking. And this includes Vanderbilt. The worst starting quarterback in the SEC I've seen in the last 20 years was Anthony Richardson. Yeah.
I mean, his very first preseason game, he doesn't even get through the second drive. I mean, I call him a bust just on his injury rate. Forget the play, injury rate. He's never available.
Yeah, I mean, but add it all together, he sucks. You know?
I was just going to say that's a nice additive to it, though, because like if you were to take away the injury history, his play alone would probably relegate him to bust. But when you add in the injury history, I think he's firmly in bust territory now. Like,
oh yeah, I figured they did a massive disservice to this guy by starting him right away. Maybe if you gave him 2-3 years to develop, he could have been something. But as it looks now, his career's heading for the toilet.
Hey, Dorn, is there a report saying that the starters for Chicago are not playing Sunday? Because if so, I just haven't seen it yet. Speaking of preseason starters, Cincinnati runs Joe Burrow and company out there for 2 series. They put up 2 touchdowns. Thank you. I applaud you, Cincinnati, for throwing your starters out there yesterday for at least 2 full series. And other teams did that too. And then there's some teams where the starters still didn't dress at all. But they threw their starters out there because they're like, we don't want to start slow. Like, hey, Cincinnati may be listening to our show. Maybe they're listening going, these guys are right. That we're starting slow. These guys need to play more in the preseason. I agree with Dorn. I think Caleb should play Sunday. I think, Ben said Caleb wouldn't play. I just hadn't seen that article yet. I think that's a mistake too. I think Love should play. I think Caleb should play.
Yeah, LaFleur came out and said the starters will play. He didn't say how much time they're getting, but they're getting some time at least.
I was going to say Ben Johnson's he's live right now, and I listened to his beginning. He said Tyson Bagent is going to start and play the whole first half. Certain players will be cycled in. So, like he mentioned Braxton Jones specifically. So I think Braxton and Ozzie will get some run in the game. But he wouldn't comment like specifically like which guys who are potential starters are going to see time. You know what I mean?
And Slam and Sammy Joe, what kind of crack are you smoking this morning? Caleb didn't end last season with fans feeling confident about him after they beat the Packers the final week of the season. Are you smoking the crack this morning? Everyone was hype at the end of that game. Are you on crack this morning, my friend?
Well, I don't know if Woody was too hyped.
Everyone was like, yes, finally, we broke the curse. Let's go. We're undefeated. And then he had the whole undefeated for 2025 memes and all that good stuff. Bears fans were definitely confident at the end of last season about Caleb. Not only that, he played all 17 games. The interception, now it's starting to hit him. He's like, I'm feeling sick. See? The INT, the TD ratio was great. Fans were happy about that. So come on, man. All right, so yeah, I think that's a mistake. But actually, I'll say my first mistake. I think Ben Johnson's making as head coach is not playing the starters more, the starting quarterback specifically, or the starters in total, at least a series or 2 in preseason game 1. I think Cincinnati and the Raiders and the Colts and all these other teams got it right by playing their starters for at least 2 series. You got to get them in the games. You got to get them ready. Joint practices aren't the end all, right? Because even joint practices have kind of like don't hit the red jersey, right? Even joint practices have like a governor on them, whereas the preseason games have no governor, right? That you go full speed. There's nothing stopping you once you hit 100 miles an hour. You can get to 105. I think they should play. And I think that I hope that this does not hurt the Bears coming into week 1, 2, whatever. If not getting Caleb game time. Now look at for the Bears, with their backup quarterback battle, great. They're each going to get a half. Okay, for that part, okay, good. But what would be the harm? I guess because maybe that'd be the entire first quarter of getting Caleb 2 series in. And get those snaps. That. So I agree with Dorn on that. And I think like Love should play tomorrow. I think the starters should play in this league at least the first 2 series in preseason game 1. And even look at the Raiders yesterday. Got the cobwebs out like Genty. 3 carries, -1 yard, big deal. My first NFL game. Okay, cool. Now we'll get in the next one and we'll do 3 series or 4 series and we'll build upon it. So by the time we get to week 1, I'm ready to rock and roll. Can you imagine if week 1's your first start and you're Genty?
Yeah, I mean, and Joe, I was just throwing some Genty slander out there. I mean, when it comes down to it, the preseason's completely meaningless in my eyes.
I figured that you weren't, really basing your opinion of Genty off of 3 preseason carries. I have a little more respect for your football knowledge than that.
Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, but one thing last night about that game, one thing that did, I know, again, it's preseason, so it doesn't really mean anything, but the Raiders signed Jamal Adams and they switched him to linebacker. He's playing outside linebacker for us. He looked fast last night. He had some good run stops. It's an encouraging sign in my opinion, because it's like, okay, maybe he is fully healthy. He's finally back. And maybe he can be that old he won't be the old Jamal Adams because he's not playing safety, but he's going to be, he looked like he can play linebacker. So I'm kind of excited about that. If
Jamal Adams likes to hit people, so maybe he's one of the few who can transition from safety to linebacker.
Mm-hmm. And he had some nice run stops last night, where he was running downhill and he was getting in on the ball. It was an encouraging sign.
Yep, for an older guy that's switching positions and that has had the injury history that he's had. He actually impressed me a decent amount last night. Because I figured this was going to be one of those signings of, oh, yeah, it's just a big name to get some headlines. And
yeah, I kind of figured he might be getting cut at the end of camp. I kind of figured he might be getting cut at the end of camp, because I didn't think when they say, oh, yeah, I'm fully healthy, they always say that, right? But no, he looked fast, and I was like, all right, we might have, and we got him cheap too.
Oh, Dorn is in rare mode this morning, I tell you.
I don't know about 0-17, but
I'll give him 3 victories.
4 or 5 wins. I said 4 or 5 wins,
and
that's on the back of that defense, because that defensive line is going to be nasty.
Well, if you listen to the guys on NFL Network, it's 0-17. As they did all the other teams, and they got the Giants, and they magically win a game or two. It's I don't know. Giants are going to have a good defense if they stay healthy. So the offense, they're going to be a better team. I mean, that's another team we just shit on them, but they could surprise some people this year.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be shocked if they finished around 7 wins.
I wouldn't be shocked if all of a sudden they shock everyone and win 9 or 10, because it happens every year. There's a 1 or 2 team that do it. And we all go, oh, but I don't know. I mean, look at last year. But, dude, every year that team that won 3, 4, 5 games the year before, and next thing you know, they're division winners, and they're looking like you don't want to play them. I mean, it happens every year. It happens. So why not? If you're Eric, you're going, why not the Giants? And you're saying, okay, because of Russ. Okay, maybe they did improve wholesale across that offense. The defense was already good, but it doesn't have to be Russ. it could be Jackson Dart.
Yeah, if they start Jackson Dart, I said it from as soon as they drafted Dart. Like, I think even starting a rookie Dart, they would win more games than they will with Russ. I'm just being honest.
It could be
Like,
a combination of the two. It could be a lot of different things. I mean, look at last year, Denver. We were all like, they'll be lucky to win 2 games, and where were they in the playoffs? Look at Washington, NFC Championship game. 2 teams that before the year last year, we said no way in hell are these guys even sniffing the playoffs.
I'm still voting for Crab Legs to be the starting quarterback over there for the Giants. I'd give Dart a year to sit there and absorb and learn, and Russ, I have no faith in.
Yeah, I think they're a 4-win team. I'd probably consider starting Jameis Winston, but they gave Russ a lot more money. Dart isn't very smart. That's one thing I've noticed with him. So he looks great at pro day and stuff, but game situations, we'll see. Ideally, the best way to bring him in is let him sit this year.
but I think he should get some time though. Like, I think he should be even if you don't start him for a game. I think bring him in for a quarter every once in a while. Let him get some experience.
When they're getting beat 35-7, he might get some time. Or those situations for sure. If that happens for the Giants, but with their defense, I don't see too many blowouts. I mean, I think they'll be. That's the thing. You got a good defense, you're going to be in games relatively decently. So I mean, I don't see too many blowouts with the Giants this year.
At least in the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
because eventually that defense is going to be tired of being on the field for 40 minutes a game, and they're just going to be like, you know what, like, why are we even trying, dude?
Dorn asked, who has more wins, Raiders or Giants?
I'd put them right about the same, honestly.
All right.
I got the Raiders. I got the Raiders at 6 wins. I got the Giants at 4.
Joe?
6 wins. Man, 6
you don't
wins.
Have to give numbers. So we're not doing our predictions for the season yet. But who do you think has more? Just a simple, who has more wins?
The Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders too. Dorn is taking the Giants.
I wouldn't put money on that.
West, the AFC West is going to be a tough out for anyone right now.
Mm-hmm.
Forrest nuts, says Eric. Look, who's the 3-win team? Who's a 4-win team this year? It's going to be hard. But I mean, looking at the state of some of these teams, I would say my favorites to be 3 to 4-win teams. With the Saints would be one of them. With the issues they have with their roster, that's primarily the reason. They still have some good players, but their roster is in such a weird flux right now. Plus a new head coach and all new systems with a bunch of guys who probably won't be there past this year or two. As they let contracts run out and they get rid of them. I see them be more problematic.
Tennessee could possibly be a 4-win team.
Who?
Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, they got a really good defense, though. So if Cam Ward is just half as bad as what they had last year, they might win 5 or 6.
Yeah, I'm not saying they will. I'm just throwing that out there as a candidate. They could be really bad, or if Cam Ward turns out to be like pretty decent, they could end up with 7 wins. Who knows? Like,
shit, I'll put Jacksonville in there because I think they're boom or bust. They're either going to be competing for their division, or they're only going to win a handful of games, and it's going to be nothing but a dumpster fire.
I was just going to say them too, and for me, I would say the Saints is a good one. The Giants, they're Saints, Giants, and I would throw the Panthers in too as possible 3 or 4-win teams. In the NFC, the Panthers, I mean, they seem like their offenses might have a chance to get it together, but Bryce is still a Keebler elf with no arm, and their defense, literally, no exaggeration, might be the worst in the league. In the AFC, we got Cleveland, you got Tennessee. I mean, the Colts should really suck too. Jacksonville could really suck. So, yeah.
I agree with Ken on Jacksonville. I think they're boom or bust, especially in that division. I'm not so. I mean, you know what's funny about the Browns? I'm not out on the Brownies. I'm not, because that defense is stellar. And if they get halfway decent quarterback play where they can just avoid all the 3 and outs, they are going to be in a lot of close games, and they will luck win a few of them. And look, we talk shit about the old man, but the old man, all he has to do with that defense is maybe put up 12 points. Right?
I hear you, man.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
they're kind of a tough team because, like, I know we've talked about them several times, Ken. We both
Yeah.
like their head coach. We both think their defense could actually be elite this season. So that right there, you would think, oh yeah, no chance of being a 3 or 4 win team. It's kind of like Jacksonville. Like, I really could see, like, you know what I mean, the rug getting pulled out from under them, and it's just like, holy shit, like they really might only win 3 or 4 games, but lose like a lot of like 8, 9 1-score games or something like that.
I mean, it could be like the Bears last year in a weird way, right? Where the Bears saw 4-2 based off mostly the strength of the defense, and then now the Bears fell apart for a different reason, but the wheels fell off, right? The wagon sat there, the wheels kept going, and the people on the wagon are like, where did the wheels go? I could see that kind of situation happening in Cleveland. I could see that kind of situation happen in Jacksonville with those teams. I can see that happening with the Giants too, actually, because they're another one of those teams, elite-ish kind of defense. And same for Tennessee. We had the number 1 defense through week 8 last year, right? So you got 4 teams with really good defenses that might even start out surprisingly well, and then the wheels will fall off, and people will be like, where'd the wheels go?
See, I actually think I don't disagree with the Jacksonville being a boom or bust thing, but I actually think Jacksonville is going to boom. Like and it's not because of Travis Hunter. Like, they got the offensive coordinator from the Bucks as their head coach, and I really think that dude's he's a good OC. We'll see how he does it at head coach, but at least their offense, I think, is going to be much improved. And Brian Thomas is got another year, like, and they're going to try Travis Hunter at receiver too. Who knows what he's going to do? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that they're going to, like, by boom. I'm not saying they're going to like win the division, but I think that they could push for the division. They could make a run.
But that's the thing to remember, though, too. Some of these teams are in weak divisions. Like, really, the only team that the Browns are in a tough division. I think the AFC North is a pretty tough division. It's not the AFC West may be tougher, but the North would be 1B to 1A, or depending on what you're a fan of, you might say North is 1A and the West is 1B in the AFC. But when you look at the Colts, kind of a weak division. You look at the Panthers, kind of a weak division. You look at a lot of these teams we're talking about, kind of weak divisions. The NFC East, I don't know if I can call that a weak division or not, because I don't know how to judge them. Like, yeah, I know the Eagles are probably going to be good. I don't know what to expect out of the rating, the 1-star rating in Dallas. If they're a 1-star rated team, or if they get 3 or 4 stars, you really don't know what to think of Dallas, because you look at Dallas and you go, well, they have some players, they got some talent, they're usually competitive, but they just choke. I mean, that's always been the story, right? They choke. It's not that they suck, it's that they choke. Well, so you don't know how to judge them. I don't know how to judge the Commanders authentically, because they overachieved last year and they understood it, and they tried to mitigate that coming into this year by signing a bunch of high-priced free agents. I don't know how they look, though, in year 2 of the Kingsbury offense that now people have the book on. I don't know how they look with the new additions and some of the old guys leaving when they overachieved. I don't have a really good where I can say, it's not like with Detroit or Minnesota or Chicago where we saw the build, right? Because these teams are on schedule. The Commanders aren't. They were off schedule. Right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know how to judge the NFC East, honestly.
You might lose Scary Terry.
And then they might lose Scary Terry, and Dallas could lose, Micah Parsons, and the dramas, and those dramas, you're right, Joe, with that too. So it's like, I don't know how to judge the NFC East, because really, if you think about it, if Micah Parsons is happy and stays, if Scary Terry is happy and he stays, that's a pretty good division too. Well, I mean, come on. I mean, the NFC Championship game was the NFC East last year.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not sleep on that.
It's also a 3-horse race, though. You know,
Well,
the NFC East. If Parsons stays and Scary Terry stays, it's still a 3-horse
but
race, man.
the Giants are a wild card in a sense. And I'm going to give Eric some love here because look, they do have an elite defense. And if Russ, and we talk shit about Russ, fine, but Russ has also won a Super Bowl. Russ has won a lot of things. Russ knows football, and he's got Malik Neighbors, and they've got a young running back that's turning heads. And it's not to say that Russ can't pull magic out of a hat one last time.
I don't think so, because the last few times we've seen him, we've seen that gas tank be pretty fucking empty. I don't know if he's got a reserve tank somewhere.
Yeah. Look, I shit on Russ now, but Russ at one time was a premier elite quarterback in the NFL. I'm not trying to take anything from him.
Yeah.
He's just not that anymore.
Yep.
And unfortunately, like, for Russ, like he's finding that out. He's declining rapidly, and I don't think he's even at the level that right now of a starting quarterback.
I don't know if the Giants contend, but they definitely make some noise and can ruin some people's days.
Yeah, they might be able to play spoiler a few games, but
yeah.
I don't take them as a serious threat for the division. I think they get swept by the Eagles, no problem.
But
probably
I mean, I guess when we're looking on paper, I agree. But here's the thing where it's like, okay, guys, but hold on. We all know the ball can bounce funny in the NFL. So, as long as they're in games because of their defense, they may get some lucky Hail Mary attempts and crap like that. I'm just not saying – I'm not saying Russell's the answer, but I'm saying we don't want to write them completely off. I think they're going to hang around and be a little bit dangerous. I don't think maybe they contend for the division. I agree with you. But I think they can make some noise. They have the potential to make some noise and be dangerous and spoil a few things and spoil a few teams' chances. And
what's up there,
especially against like the boys and the Redskins, the division opponents. And that's going to make that division more interesting. Good morning, Ralph. Good to see you here, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Eric. Massive step back. Especially for the Cowboys, more so than – I would say it would affect the Cowboys more than it would affect the Redskins in a way.
I just want to know, like, to the guys in the comments who said that the Raiders are going to lose more games than the Giants. Like, they won 4 games with Gardner Minshew last year. How are they going to lose? How are they going to lose that same number of games with Geno Smith instead of Gardner Minshew? Like, yeah. I know that Geno's not like the savior, but come on, dude. Like, realistically, like you're going to say they won 4 games last year, and then with Geno, they're still going to win 4 games. I just have a hard time with that.
And yeah,
and that's not even being a Raider fan. That's just like looking at football. That's just being objective.
Plus, I know Broski, of course, doesn't like it, but they added Genty. Plus they added some other pieces. You have to almost make the assumption they got better. But look, we made the assumption last year that the Bears were better, and I'm sure the Bears personnel-wise were better. Coaching-wise, they were worse. So, I mean, those are going to happen too. There are going to be a couple teams out there where we're looking at the team going, you know what? Yeah, they got better. But the coaching falls apart like it did in Chicago last year. And guys that we assume – or guys that we think are on the hot seat just a touch – like, and all of a sudden it just implodes on them. And then there might be 1 or 2 teams like that this year as well. Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, Raiders have a chance, says Ralph. Yeah, I agree with them. I'm wondering where the coaching implosions are going to be this year. Miami?
Depends on how much time he spends in actual downtown Miami.
South Beach, yeah.
Maybe Seattle.
Seattle.
Hmm?
He's a new coach, but at the same time, like they're starting Darnold, and
Arizona.
I just wonder about Seattle. Like
Arizona, maybe.
Depends on it. Yeah, maybe if Kyler gets injured or he's not playing well, possibly. But I kind of think Arizona finished the season off like they once Kyler came back, they started to look pretty decent, dude. And so I kind of I don't know, maybe I'm crazy for thinking that they could sort of carry some of that momentum into this season, but I kind of feel like the Arizona is going to be an improved team. And
What about
Marvin Harrison, as much as we talked about Marvin Harrison last year, he really didn't have like a knock your socks off kind of rookie year.
Right.
But the talent is there. Like it's definitely there. There's a reason he was the first receiver, or there's a reason that he was drafted as high as he was, and he was touted as much as he was. So I think year two, he's got to take a step forward, right?
What about the Texans? And I bring them up because, okay, obviously, 2 years ago, big year, go to the playoffs, great rookie debut. Last year, they were still kind of solid, right? But the flash wasn't there. I mean, you beat the Bears because of a couple 55-yard field goals. Everyone remembers the Lions game. You don't show up in the second half last year. That team consistently didn't show up. That's a team that I could earmark as a possible implosion team. Because then you also now think Dell is out for the year again. His career might almost be over. They have injury issues. If you look at the roster, have they really improved it? Or are they static state? Or have they gotten worse? They do have some great players, some really good players in that roster. But they did last year in the second half of games, they disappeared in a lot of games. Like they should have. There's the Lions game. Come on. Really? They completely fell apart. That's credit to the Lions for what they did in the second half of that game. But come on, even the Bears game, dude, they won that game on field goals. A lot. I mean, and good on them. You got a guy who can kick him 55 yards out. They did not look good against the Bears. So, for me, the Texans, everyone gets high on them. Everyone loves their quarterback. That's great. Look at the rest of that team, man. They're a team that really, I would be shocked completely if all of a sudden they're a third place team in that division because they have an implosion of some sort.
I can't see him at third place because that would mean that either the Titans or the Colts would end up being better than them, and I just don't see that right now. Unless. I mean, like you said, if there's a complete implosion, but DeMeco Ryans is a good coach. I think he's a very disciplined coach, and so I don't know if the coaching implodes, but I definitely think they're a couple injuries away from ending up. If they have it, let's say the injury bug bites them, then there's.
It would be the first time though that a guy who had pretty decent success in his first 2 years goes into year 3 and the whole system implodes on him. Look at Matt Nagy.
It wouldn't.
Look at Matt Nagy. First 2 years were pretty successful, 2 playoff appearances, and then crap.
The thing about DeMeco Ryans, though, is that he inspires. Like you saw it with when he was the D coordinator for San Francisco. Like guys want to play for him. So even if the coaching isn't there, I didn't watch enough of Nagy to know, but I'll take your word for it.
But Joe, look, the one thing I agree with you the most on that is that division. And as you said, I was thinking, man, that division is kind of jacked. Like they may be, sorry, Ken, for me saying this, don't be mad at me. They might be in a Packers situation where they're the best of the worst.
Yeah.
But
still making the playoffs with 8-9 wins.
Yeah. That could be in that Packers situation because the Packers lived there for so long because the North was so dysfunctional overall. And every so often, the North team would get lucky and win the division, make a run or whatever, but there was no consistency. So the Packers were like, okay, well, we just be the best of the worst. And we'll go to the playoffs every year. You guys go try to figure it out. Forget you. It worked. It's good for the Packers. But maybe the Texans are in that situation this year where they could be the best of the worst because that whole division from top to bottom, do you see the Texans competing with the Chiefs? Do you see them competing with the Baltimores of the AFC or the Bills or Cincinnati? No, I don't. Cincinnati maybe because they have no defense. But other than that, I think they get mauled by the Steelers. I mean, They're the best of the worst. And when you look at what Ken was saying, hey, Jackson's boom or bust. Jackson could boom and pass them right up and take that division. The Colts, I think, you're right. They're pretty much they seem kind of cooked to me, right? So yeah, I agree with you there. But the Titans, really good defense. If they win a couple extra games, because now it's Cam Ward not throwing interceptions to the opposing team defense, like in the Chicago game, they leads with pick six, and now they win 3 or 4 more games behind that number 1 ranked defense they had last year, or keeps them off the field so that defense doesn't deteriorate in the back end as bad. Next thing you know, they pass the Texans. I think the Texans are a little bit overrated. We're still living off the hype of 2 years ago with them and their young quarterback. And I think a lot of the respect they get is on that hype from 2 years ago. And they earned it 2 years ago. But where was it last year? That magic definitely was not there last year.
See, I look at it a little bit differently. I don't disagree with you that they're still getting hyped from that run 2 years ago. But I think that Stroud had such a phenomenal rookie year that it was inevitable that he was going to have a bit of a sophomore slump. And so I don't think it's like a harbinger. Like, I think Stroud is going to have a pretty decent year again. I think he showed that he's got what it takes. Like, he's a good quarterback in the NFL. The thing is their receiving core, like, Tank Dell, losing Tank Dell was big for them because him and Stroud, that was his guy, so I think that hurts them. But they have a really good secondary. Like, their defense as a whole is pretty decent, actually.
And Jack Carter, they got some good guys. I think with this way, though, Joe, not to cut you up, but think with this way. 2 years ago when they get Stroud, they were what the Titans were. Pretty decent defense, get in a new coach, don't expect much of them, and they go and win the division.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Cam Ward, number 1 pick overall, why can't he have a Stroud year or Stroud-like year? And all of a sudden, with that number 1 defense that was number 1 for half the year last year, all of a sudden we're looking at the Titans being division champs.
Yeah, do the Titans have anything at receiver for him to throw to?
What I was going to say is they drafted Jaden Higgins, they have Nico Collins, and they signed Christian Kirk. They also have Jalen Noel? Didn't they draft him as well?
I actually don't.
I think they did. They did. And Jalen Noel, should be a stud. They drafted both those Iowa State receivers, which is pretty sick, actually, because honestly, I was a huge Jalen Noel fan. I'm like, he's the next Amon-Ra St. Brown. The issue with them, I feel, is their offensive line and their running back room. So they have a new left tackle. They have a new left guard. They drafted a rookie right tackle who's supposedly going to start. That kid from, I believe from Minnesota, that big kid. And then Mixon, dude, he's old now. He's going to fall off any year. I think he's already nicked up, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have much faith in Mixon going forward. Nick Chubb, to me, is just a complete waste of time. So they have the decrepit, aging running back room with a very questionable offensive line. I think that's the big issue for them.
But just for the sake of argument, broski, what if Chubb isn't completely washed and he can return to 75% of the Chubb he once was? 75% of you like that, Ken? 75% of his former chubbiness.
I mean, you can be 75% of a piece of shit, and you're still a piece of shit. So it's like.
No,
what?
I mean,
how can you say that Chubb was a piece of shit in his prime?
Okay. Maybe he's a solid form of shit as opposed to diarrhea, but he's still shit.
I mean, look, I
usually side with you, but I ain't siding with you.
Yeah, Broski, I don't know, man. I mean, look,
I know you guys love some Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb is a plastic kneecap and a piece of shit put together.
You look at the Titans, though the Titans have the markings of basically being the Texans of 2 years ago. in a lot of
The
ways.
rest of the panel would like to apologize to Nick Chubb. We're rooting for you, buddy.
I'm just saying. You
I
know,
mean, come on.
not him personally, but his play on the field. Let's keep it at that. But yeah, I don't know.
Well,
The Texans are tough to, dude. This is what I love about the NFL every season. Texans are a tough team to call this year, man. They really are for me.
Broski, you don't like the performance of the Chubb?
But Brosby, but the funny thing is, and I don't disagree with you at all, Brosby, but the funny thing is when you watch all the ESPNs and Foxes of the world, oh yeah, the Texans are going to win this division. They're still living off that performance from 2 freaking years ago.
And you know why? You know why I think it is? I mean, just look at the rest of their division. I mean, it's like what the Packers have been in the NFC North, the best of the worst. That's kind of like what the Texans are, the best of the worst. So they could be the new Packers of the AFC.
I mean, the only team in that division I'm going to write off as not being contending for that division is the Colts right now.
Yeah, the Colts suck. They do. I agree with that. They're bottom feeders. I consider them worse than Jacksonville or the Browns. Like, they suck.
I mean, the Colts, they're way worse than those other two teams.
Yep, I think so.
Have defenses, but I mean, the Colts, it's like, they're at that point where they may win 2 games, and those 2 games though might be in the division just to mess with who wins the division. That's how I feel about the Colts. I don't think they can beat anyone out of their division. And that they'll probably, if they do win games, it'll be within the division because those are the games you're most likely to win no matter how good or bad you are. Because we've all seen it. Worst team in the league beats the best team in the league in the same division. Division games are just different. But I don't see the Colts as being contenders for anything but the lottery
Yep.
the draft.
And Jonathan Taylor had a good season last year. So, he's not doing that back-to-back years. Like, they're going to be a mess this year.
I feel really bad for Tyler Warren, dude, because he just went to like a literal black hole for the next 5 years of his career.
And he looked okay yesterday. They used him a lot. Look, yesterday I told you everything you need to know about their offense. They're gonna try to replicate what happened in Vegas last year. We got a tight end. We're gonna use him 24/7. He's gonna get 1,500 pass attempts. We're throwing the ball 1,500 times at Tyler Warren. There's your offensive scouting report of the Colts. Whoever the quarterback is, whether it be the guy who can't stay healthy, the guy who will miss it, that they called Danny Dimes, even though he couldn't hit a dollar bill from a centimeter away, or the guy they pull off the street, whoever the quarterback is, that's who they're throwing it to.
At this point, they'd be better off shopping for a quarterback at like the local rec center or something, dude. Like,
oh, you didn't get the call yet, Joe?
No.
Oh, I thought the Colts had already called you.
No, not yet. But I could use the NFL Vetman contract.
Yeah,
I could throw a 5-yard slant, dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're the only team in that division, though. I kind of say, the other 3 teams, I kind of say flip a quarter. And I agree, 2 of them are boom or bust. The Titans and Jags are kind of boom or bust.
I think the Jags have a chance to be good. I think that head coach is going to change things over there. Like, he's a very good offensive coordinator. So at the very least, I expect their offense to be formidable.
You just missed me giving your Steelers props saying they would shred the Texans. Let me switch to a different topic really quick because it's something we brought up a couple weeks ago, and I want to follow up on because the Bears are for sale. Well, a piece of it. Okay? On the McKenna stake in the Bears, because there's 3 families that own the Bears, when the McKenna stake went kind of in the weird area where McKenna died in 2023 with no heirs. So the valuation of the Bears, you ready for this one? Because they just completed the transaction. The valuation as of now for the Bears is $8.8 billion. Because they had to do the valuation. The share size, by the way, we found out was 2% that McKenna owned. So in order to complete this transaction, the new valuation of the team is $8.8 billion.
Wow. That's without the new stadium.
Without the new stadium. Now, here's what happened to the 2% that the McKenna family owned that has now been sold. The Bears are now a 2-family owned team. The McCaskies will now own 77.5% of the Bears, and the Ryan family will hold the rest, making the Ryan family the biggest minority stakeholders of any NFL team. Because they,
I'm sorry, what's their ownership percentage, Ken?
That would be
22.5.
22.5%.
Okay.
So and the thing is that's making it's now the NFL still prove it that they're going to split the 2%. But the interesting thing is the structure of the ownership of the Bears is like a family-owned business and not a corporate structure, like every other team in the NFL. Minus the Packers are kind of corporate; they have a board of directors, even though they have different. Their ownership isn't a person, right? But that in some ways made this transaction super easy. The two families always had the right of first refusal of any potential sale of one of the So if McKenna family was going to sell their 2% to the panel of Ken and Ken in the morning, either one of the families would have had a right to first refusal. They said, well, you know what? Instead of doing that, why don't we just split the two shares? And that's what they're doing. The 2%, I should say. And that's what they're doing. The NFL owner have to approve it. Obviously, it's going to get rubber stamped because you're not bringing in new owners. They're just taking that 2%, divided amongst current owners, and that's going to happen. But the big news there, $8.8 billion, and you're right, Broski, without the stadium. Now, that includes, though, owning the property, obviously, in Arlington.
Yeah.
But $8.8 billion, that's a pretty good evaluation for a franchise that doesn't own their own stadium yet.
Oh, yeah, they need it. I just hope that team gets sold to some kind of like vibrant group of people with a mission to make to change the franchise. Like,
Never
my God,
gonna happen, bros.
my God.
I don't see either family selling right now at all. And with the right to first refusal, even if one family wanted to sell, the other family can say nope.
I mean, Ken, you're right. There's no chance they do because, like you said, their valuation is going to go up by another couple billion once they build that new stadium. So why not just wait like a handful more years than sell?
The only actually, this would have been the time where the Bears sold, to be honest, because of the inheritance taxes. Because the inheritance tax on the McCaskey family is so huge that the thought was they would have to sell the team in order to pay the tax.
You know, that's another good point. I'd have to look into that because I think some of those are getting chopped down with Trump in office. But
no, that was a couple of years ago, and actually, the state of Illinois, it was their tax got rid of. It was the Illinois tax that was going to kill them, and they got and Illinois legislative branch or the Illinois legislature, they basically exempted professional sports team ownership groups.
Okay, well. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to think. All I can say is this. All I can say is I just hope they sell this team as soon as possible. I don't want this McCaskey name tied to the Bears anymore. They've been a big enough disgrace for long enough.
You got to figure when the Bears build their own stadium, that almost probably doubles the value. Would that be about doubles when they get the stadium?
I mean, like. Depending too, like, you know, it's not just going to be a stadium. It's going to be like a community. It's going to be like a complex, you know, whatever you want to call it around there. Like, it really could. It really could.
See, Broski, now it just sounds like you guys are trying to set up your own cult.
So Joe, when they built when they built the Death Star, right? When the Raiders built the Death Star, how much did their value go up?
So, see, that's the thing that I was going to point out is the Raiders, like Mark Davis owns roughly between him and his mom, they own roughly like half the team, a little bit more. They have a majority stake between the two of them, and his stake, Mark Davis's stake, was worth about $500 million. So they were worth like I think less than $1 billion, like 800 and something million, and then they built the stadium, and now they're worth about $6 billion. And Mark Davis is worth about half of that.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah, but part of that is because the stadium is worth $2 billion, right, by itself. So I don't think that the Bears' value will double, but I think that you'll get, the $2 billion at least for what the stadium is worth.
Do the
plus
Raiders
the
own the
surrounding
land? Do the Raiders own the land?
I don't know if they own the land or not.
Because if the
I
Bears
think
case, I don't. Maybe it doesn't double, but they own the land. They'll own the stadium, and it's not just the stadium itself is worth $2 billion, but it'll be all the other revenue it generates
Right.
outside of football that increases that value by about $8 billion. I think because once you factor in the WrestleManias or the whatever WWE pay-per-views they're going to do there, and the concerts and the conventions and the monster truck rallies that John Dorn loves to go to so much, and the hunting expos and the Comic Cons and all the other crap they're going to have in that community there with the hotels and the stadium and the restaurants, I could see the Bears' value doubling.
You forgot the popcorn salesman.
I was going to say, I'm still stuck on Packer fan Ken's Colts comment. I'm like, that's a great idea. Like, we should make it a Bears only town. And then, but we might have to move it to Arkansas. Then I'm not sure if we could get away with that in Illinois.
I'm thinking that it'll probably. I could see the Bears valuation going up by 50%. So let's say to roughly like $12 billion.
Yeah.
I think 16 is a little bit high, but I mean, who knows?
12 to 16, somewhere in there. 12 to 16.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to at least increase it by 50%.
Let's see this fucking thing get built first.
Yeah,
Fuck.
no doubt. And that's the thing that's frustrating to me right now. And I get, okay, maybe we didn't hear anything because they were waiting on this, minority stake sale to kind of be done before they announce it, because maybe that would have changed the valuation and cost them more money, right, to get those percentages. So now that once this sale is complete, right, maybe, okay, now we can announce the stadium. So they held off. Because if they announce the stadium, maybe that drives the value up. Instead of 8.8, it's $9 billion or $9.2 billion before it's even built. I am hoping that by the beginning of week 1, we have, hey guys, we have broke ground at location X. I think it's going to be Arlington. I think it should be Arlington. Not that I don't love the city of Chicago, but fuck the city of Chicago with all the stupid political games and everything else they've played. And then why the hell would you want to be a tenant when you can just own it? Right? The Bears have had so many issues with the Chicago Park District, with the city of Chicago's the mayor's office in Chicago, with this Chicago City Council, not letting them do this, not letting them do that. Can't keep
letting the lawnmowers get stolen.
Yeah, letting the lawnmowers and the equipment to maintain the field be stolen, all this other crap, right? Forget the city of Chicago. Go to the city of Arlington Heights. You own the property. It's yours. It's your baby. You make all the money. You don't have to worry about, rent agreements and stuff. You become the landlord, and you're going to reap all the benefits. The state of Illinois has already said they're not going to help regardless. There's going to be no taxpayer money regardless of where it is. At that point, I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. The city of Chicago is not giving you the same breaks that you're getting in Arlington. And Arlington is just a better location for everything else. Yeah, it's cool to be iconic and on the lakefront. Okay, cool. But that doesn't make you money or win you football games.
Mm-hmm. And it's always better to have a mortgage than to pay rent.
Yep.
So,
we got a full slate of games to watch this weekend. So we got games tonight, 3 games tomorrow, 2 games. These are just the NFL Network games, right? So there are a bunch of games you can watch. Don't forget for Sunday at 11 a.m. for pregame, 11 a.m. Central, House Hall will be on. We'll be doing actually pregame because the Bears will be on at noon, immediately following House Hall Report. Don't forget the Packers have their show on tonight at 7 p.m. Central. Open mic night should be interesting tomorrow because the Packers play during open mic night. So we'll see what happens with that show. Guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy watching football. Even though the play is not where we want, it's just nice to see the uniforms and the refs making bad calls and good calls. So keep an eye out. Hopefully there'll be no more big injuries. There were some other injuries to talk about. We just didn't get to them today. But it's that time of year where we're going to get a bunch of injuries that pile up as guys are hitting the field. The Colts had another injury yesterday, too. A cornerback torn tendon is out for basically the season. But keep an eye out for that this weekend. Let's hope no one gets injured, teams stay healthy, and we get a good NFL season. Everyone, enjoy football this weekend. We'll see you this weekend, and then we'll see you right back here Monday morning at Kinnick in the Morning. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.